One love, job bless. Fire Nelson here, and today I'm here to talk to you about pain and the path that pain takes us to enlightenment, the path that pain takes us to growth, and also about the mystery of why pain is such a universal, you know, truly an energy, a being on its own almost. It's something that is happening within every single material being on this planet. Even plants feel pain. Animals, of course, feel pain. And we, of course, feel pain. But what really is pain? What is it there for? You know? And it makes me think about and meditate on it. And it brings me back to, like, even when you're a kid and you're first trying to figure things out, you just grab things and put it in your mouth, you know, or you just touch things and slap things and hit things, and you just are way more wild in the way that you look at the world. You're way more experimental in the way that you look at the world. And sometimes people take that type of, you know, baby child mindset into the world, and they never lose that. And that's how people sometimes get destructive. They think that this world is their plaything. They don't realize this world is a world of action and reaction. You can't just do what you want in this world. You know, God didn't make it like that. The Most High didn't make it like that. We have to realize there's rules to this blessing, to this Garden of Eden that we live in. You know, there's rules and certain statutes that we should be living by so that we can respect and live in harmony with the different elements of this world. But when we don't know those rules, we're pretty much like a baby. We go through pain again and again and again and again. And, you know, whether it's physical pain or whether it's mental pain, which many people deal with through depression, anxiety, you know, stress in general. You know, people don't associate stress with depression or anxiety or pain even, when really that's some of the biggest pain. We stress about so much. We stress about how this bill is going to get paid. We stress about how we're going to level up, and we stress about how we're going to equal up to these people and keep up with these, you know, people who are in our age bracket, or who are, you know, people that we think that we should be doing better than. But really, that's just the ego. And honestly, the ego is what causes the most pain. The ego, and I also want to add the stomach, the gut. You know, this is what causes the most pain. When people follow the ego, when people follow the gut, this is when we get so misaligned. We think that this world truly is just for us. And, you know, we sometimes fall into corruption. The only path that truly will lead you free is a path free from the ego, path free from these constant false thoughts that you own this world, that this world is yours. You know, it's so crazy to me to think that there's wars and just so much corruption dealt with, people thinking they own something. Like, how can you own land? You know, if something was given to you, even in the aspect of Israel and Palestine, not even talking about how America are, you know, kicking out immigrants and refugees, you know, just pure wickedness and corruption. But even on the grounds of Palestine and Israel, if something in the Bible is telling you this is your land, and it has been gifted to you, it's in your inheritance, that doesn't mean that you killed the people on that land. Did you start reading the Bible and you just stopped? Or you just picked certain pieces? You forget that thou shalt not kill. You forget that thou shalt, you know, love thy neighbor, respect thy mother, respect thy father. And your mother and your father signed off on you nuking, you know, bombing millions of people. Your mothers and fathers signed off on this. So what causes pain? It's this ego. It's this thought that we have to own something, that if we don't own something, they're gonna own it. And, that's not right. That's not fair. I have more money than them. I have more respect than they do. This is craziness. Why is it even a topic that we have to discuss? Not shooting and killing people, not bombing, hospitals and innocent children and women and people in general, animals in general, environments in general. You're causing mass destruction to these environments. It's not just even about the people. These environments are impacted. These plants are impacted. The soil is impacted. The whole ecosystem, the air is not as clean as it used to be in these war zones, in these affected places. So we have to realize what this ego, or what this childlike mentality of thinking that everything is your play thing and you can squash this and put this random toy in your mouth and run around and scream when you want and everything is going to be fine. People grow up and follow in these ways and different, they're not of course crying and having temper tantrums anymore, but they're definitely acting out. They're definitely pushing that red button when they don't get what they want. They're having a temper tantrum in a different way that's more impacting than even themselves. When we're a baby, we're only impacting truly ourselves and maybe our parents and things like this. But when we become adults, that impact can be global. It can affect the people at our work. It can affect whatever company you're running. It can affect as well your parents, still your family, and then that spreads out. Those negative energies that you carry and these unrighteous thought processes that you keep on repeating can cycle outward until it's literally something that trickles into a global population. We can never underestimate our worth. We can never underestimate how much our positivity really holds more access to positivity. One light, one candle can light so many other candles. Like literally millions of candles can be lit with one candle. Because if you light that candle, even if that first candle goes out and dies, that one candle lit so many other candles that those other candles will make sure to light other candles. And before you know, everybody's candle is lit. This is how positivity, this is how spiritual enlightenment, this is how surrendering to the Most High should be snowballing into effect. But instead, it's a constant battle of, okay, this half of people are about the righteousness, about living a pious life, about living a life aligned with the Most High, and of living a life that are actually aligned with the spiritual teachings of goodness and love. And then there's this whole other entity, this whole other side of people who are just living by the ego. They're good people, for the most part, good people, but they don't care about anything other than themselves. Truthfully, they may think that it's a little different. They may not say that out loud, but truthfully, they care only about themselves. They don't care about the environment as much as, most people try to act like they do. They don't really care about their neighbor as much as most people really act like they do. They don't care about really changing or growing themselves more than they have grown right here, right now. A lot of people think the same ways that you do. A lot of people want change. A lot of people want positivity to be the normal vibration of every single day. A lot of people don't want to work every day and slave away at a job and only worry about money, and they'll have a few good weeks and then you're right back to stressing about money. A lot of people don't want to repeat the cycle where they're having little time to themselves or in nature and just enjoying whatever they want to do. having vacations maybe once a year or once every few years. That's how a lot of people live. When there's so much out here to be explored, there's so much out here to enjoy, there's so much nature to be, truly getting your feet in, letting yourself be grounded. But we're so worried about what the ego wants because that's what we've been taught. You've either been taught that, hey, you need to cool your ego down and put your head in some books and get some wisdom because your ego is out of control, or you've been taught that, don't let nobody tell you nothing. You're confident. Well, you should be confident. No one's saying you shouldn't be confident. But that don't let nobody tell you nothing attitude that's sometimes pushed on these kids, or if anybody tells you something, tell me, and you're always right, blah, 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 We don't see how we are nurturing these types of ideas in the children and the people around us. It's not even children either. It's, lots of times we're the biggest enablers of our own friends, of our own family. We rather tell people that we don't know on the internet how nasty it is that they smoke cigarettes instead of telling our friend in person, hey, that's nasty, you smoke cigarettes, you shouldn't be doing that, it's destroying your body. But we rather type it in a comment to someone we hardly know just because we see them happen to have a cigarette pack on the side or something like this. We look for things to judge others in on the internet when it's away from us. We look for ways to maybe even say that we want to help others, on the internet, and we freely speak. But when it comes to in our own life, we let people continue to go through pain. So like I said in the beginning, what is pain? What is this pain for? Why do we have pain? What is the purpose of pain? And pain, truthfully for me, is a sign, is a gift, is a redirection that is telling you, hey, you maybe need to change your path. You maybe need to rearrange what you were thinking. Hey, this is hot. Maybe you need to handle this differently. It's not always a stove when I mean hot. Sometimes something that we think is good for us or think is, cool even, is actually too hot for us. It's actually way too much for us to handle. And we need to come at it in a different way or not approach it at all. If you're not a firefighter, you shouldn't be going and trying to fight a big flame and a fire in somebody's house or on a mountain. You have to know what you're able to do. You have to know your abilities. You have to, of course, exercise strength and exercise growth and grow these abilities. But you have to realize when you have brought yourself into a situation, or you have brought yourself into a mindset, or you have built a whole life, around something that you shouldn't have built it around. You have got yourself into a situation that you could have avoided if you weren't thinking with the ego the whole time. Our ego will get us so mad, we'll be in pain, and we won't redirect. We'll be feeling heartbreak, we'll be feeling, even physical pain, and we'll keep going. I'm not talking about working out, I'm talking about, just like even smoking the cigarettes or drinking sodas or just doing anything that deep in your heart and your spirit is detrimental to your health that you keep doing. You're going to eventually feel pain. You're going to eventually be like, oh, why can't I run as fast as I used to? Why can't I breathe? Why am I having this cough and all these things? That's pain. And if you ignore it, guess what? The pain's going to get worse. The pain's going to at least continue. That's for sure. You may be able to suppress it with, prescription pills and medicines and stuff like this. But then there's side effects that come with that. So that's more pain that you're just adding on to your already heap of burdens that you're already carrying. So it's best if listen to the pain. Pain is something that's not supposed to be ignored. It's something that's supposed to be avoided for sure. But it's not always to be avoided. Sometimes when that pain comes, we need to welcome it so we can understand. Not continue the painful process, not continue to put yourself more in pain, but to be in the pain and say, oh my gosh, this is painful right here. I feel this pain. I'm understanding where the pain is coming from. Now let me think deeper and see maybe how this pain got here. You know? Sometimes I'll feel a cramp in my stomach, or I'll feel a cramp in my legs, or I'll just feel some heartburn. Yeah. And I'll be like, that's so crazy. What is that? You know? And then I'll think, and I'll be like, oh, that's right. About 10 hours ago, 5 hours ago, I did drink that carbonated drink. Oh yeah, that's something I usually don't do. That's probably why I feel this. Oh yeah, I did eat those, I did eat a whole bunch of onions. I started getting heartburn from onions, I think. So I cut out the onions for the past month, and I don't have heartburn. So maybe my body wasn't accepting these types of vegetables, and they didn't want the onions. But if you didn't listen to the pain, if you was like, oh, I have heartburn, whatever, and you don't sit there and think about, why am I having this pain? Where's this pain coming from? What did I do today? Maybe where have I been misguided? You see, I was eating onions. I wasn't even being misguided, but that's how God works. Sometimes you don't realize, even when you're trying to do something right, that you're really doing something that's hurting you. My body doesn't want that right now, So we have to listen to the pain. That's what the pain is for. This is what animals do. If the animal feels pain, it's boom, boom, boom. If an animal feels pain, it's going to be moving the fastest you've ever seen that animal move. In seconds, right when it feels that pain. And that's how most people think. They think, oh, I'm in pain, so I gotta really put my effort into stuff right now. Oh, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep pushing. But that's animalistic instincts. The Most High has gave us reasoning. The Most High has gave us understanding. The Most High has gave us wisdom. So we need to use this divine wisdom. And don't have pain make you more chaotic. Don't make pain have you yelping and being all out of your normal self, being more angry, more irritable, more this and that. Take time, meditate, listen to what the pain is trying to tell you or show you, so that you can shift to where the pain is trying to shift you. Pain is not something that's trying to hurt you. A tree is going to start wilting and doing all these different weird things when it's not getting the proper nutrients. And hopefully someone comes around, or hopefully the Most High graces it with the proper nutrients. But that pain is telling you, hey, I need help. If you're here, you got some water, you got some, some plants, some watermelon, anything. Throw it at my base, at my roots, so I can get some nutrients, please, So that pain and those signs of pain are here to tell you where you need to shift, how you need to shift, and what you may be doing that isn't even, completely wrong. Like I said, most people aren't naturally just bad people. They're just misguided. They're just confused. They just don't realize what is actually nourishing for them in this moment. What may be nourishing for you may not be nourishing for everybody else. But what is nourishing is peace, positivity, coming at things with love, coming at things with that respect and that divine order in the mind. Keeping your mind in a holy place, clean. That's how you keep the pain away. You align yourself with the Most High instead of aligning yourself with the world, and you'll be able to clean up your mind, clean up your body, clean up your spirit. Because that's how it works, mind, body, spirit, right? But it takes that recognition. It takes that becoming one with your body and your mind and understanding how they both work and understanding how you can shift them from your spiritual place. And then once you're able to do that, you're golden. You'll find that peace, and pain will no longer be pain for you. And if it is, it's so temporary, you just laugh. You'll be like, wow, now I stub my toe or get a cut or something, and the pain is so temporary. Even I'm talking about, yes, even physical pain becomes temporary. You know, of course, it's, you know, as my arm got chopped off, it probably would hurt, but I've even heard people say that doesn't hurt. You know, the adrenaline pumping. But literally, I'll stub my toe or cut myself or something like this, and it'll just be so temporary because I'll feel my body react and everything get tight. You know, just like an animal instincts, everything starts going quick. You know, feel tight. You're like, you want to make a noise. And then I realize my whole body is reacting. I'm like, why is my whole body reacting when it's just this body part? You know, so I relax the rest of my body. And then the pain starts to just ease. And I just remember, it's just my toe. It's just my finger. It's just my hand. It's just my elbow. It's just my knee. It's going to heal. Let me watch out. Let me be more careful what I do. Let me take more time before I make any actions. So this is what pain does. It's just an alert system. It's just a way to tell you where you need to shift, or tell you how you need to slow down, or tell you how you need to adjust from what you maybe were doing before. It's not something that's to be scared of, or to think that you have to go to Google exactly when pain happens. No, it just means there's a shift that needs to happen. Embrace that shift. Stay open and receptive to that shift. And trust me, you'll find abundant peace, abundant blessings, abundant love, abundant wealth, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So if you haven't, please like, comment, share, subscribe. And I appreciate everybody that watched this video. And I hope that you have a blessed day and you're able to heal your pain, because you can truly heal pain through the spirit, through the mental. And if it's mental pain, you can heal it through the spirit. But if it's physical pain, you can heal it through the mental, through the spirit. Just stay at it, meditate, pray, and try to stay positive as much as you can in this crazy world. One love. Ja.